Welcome, everyone. This is Divine Dialogues, Intuitives Unveiled. I am Tracey Bango from Angels on the Prairie.
And I'm Rhonda Sean with Divine Guidance with Rhonda, and we're members of the Angel Empowerment Wellness Center. In our podcast, we're going to be delving into topics such as intuition, angelic connections, and the spiritual realm.
We're also going to talk about our own personal experiences to help you understand your own intuitive abilities. Thanks for joining us.
And let's begin. Hi, everybody. Today we're going to talk about kind of just like with anything, we have tools and what we use in our readings or when we download or channel messages from the divine. We often use different types of tools to help us assist in our readings. So, one of the common tools that you'll often find is cards. Now, there's two types of cards that generally are used. They're oracle cards or they're tarot cards. So oracle cards are kind of, I want to say, generalized cards in a sense of they can draw on different energy. They're not, how do I want to say this? Maybe I'll start off with tarot. Tarot, there's different types of tarot cards, but they're all the same. They all have the same meanings, the same thing. Where sometimes if you get it in reverse or the same, like they have the different symbols and meanings, but doesn't matter what type of tarot cards, they all run the same line. Where oracle cards, they can be themed, they can be general.
So, like an oracle deck is every person does their own deck, their own images, their own channels. As a tarot, every card in the deck is the same. The only difference is the graphics.
Yes. Yeah. So that is one that we use. And also with oracle decks is you can create your own as well. This is kind of putting Tracy on the spot so we can edit this. But you're working on an oracle deck, are you not?
Well, it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yes, it's just not as fun. It's yes.
Yeah.
So, what would you like to know about that? An oracle deck is like there's so many different ways you can do an oracle deck. You can have somebody draw the pictures. I am using pictures that I myself has taken pictures of real life pictures. I'm doing a deck with Cindy Smith and then one of my own, and it's all with the use of pictures from a camera. And but see, other people hire people to do art drawings. Everybody's different of what they would like to put on the card, and what message.
Yeah.
That's the difference between oracle and tarot. You are able to do that in oracle. In tarot, like they're all the same.
Yeah.
Just the graphics are different. You can make your own deck. It's just the graphics have to be different. But
Right.
otherwise, it's 4 of Cups, 2 of Cups.
Yeah.
I personally don't use tarot, so I don't know very much. It's my daughter that uses the tarot.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't use tarot either because there is this kind of a science a little bit behind it because you kind of got to know what card this is. Not to say that you can't get channeled messages from it, but it's like, hey, this card means XYZ. And then you can get your messages. So with an oracle deck, they come in many shapes, forms. It's kind of like whatever you want it to be. Like, so an example, what I usually do with when I go into a reading is I tend to ask my team because I have about 15 decks And I'll ask my team, "Okay, team, highlight decks that you want me to use for this reading." And then I'm like, so then from there, they will give me this. Then I'll a lot of times ask my client is I don't want specific questions, but is there a theme that they want highlighted? And then that's how I kind of know which deck to pick from. So if they're wanting healing, I have a healing deck. If they want kind of know about their finances, I have an abundance deck. And then that's kind of how, if they just don't care, then I get them to pick themselves because it's more in the flow. And sometimes different things will get highlighted. Is there a certain method of how you use your oracle decks, or?
Well, when I do a reading, is like I've got close to 30 decks. Like I'm kind of silly, but and yes, I have my favorites that I use a lot more, but when I do a card reading, I put most of them out. Like I pick so many, probably, I don't know, 10 to 15 or so, or more, and I put them on the table and I get them to pick the decks. And sometimes they'll pick a certain deck and I'll say, okay, are we working with healing? Are we working with abundances? Are we talking about money? Like, are we talking about relationships? And then I will pull that deck and then I'll say to pick another because, like it. So I let them, that's with me, I let them pick the deck and go from there.
Yeah. So I'm going to then now talk about the next tool that I use that kind of coincides is a pendulum. So for those, a pendulum works with your body. And so to start, I always place a shield so I know it's not me that's influencing it. And I'll ask my team to come in. And it's basically, it's like on a piece of string or a chain with usually a crystal at the end of it. I place my hand underneath and I'll say, please show me yes, please show me no, or please show me maybe. And traditionally, the reason why I always ask is because they can change up your energy, change up the energy. But traditionally, when I get an X or a yes, it strings forward, up and down, I guess. And then no, it goes from side to side. And then maybe I'll usually get a circle. So especially when I go do shows, because I don't want to haul all my decks with me, I'll usually go and say, "Okay, who wants to come with me to my shows?" So then I take my pendulum and run them over the decks. And if I get a yes, I pull it out, put it to the side. If I get a no, I just leave it. And then even if I get a maybe, I will bring it with me because it might be for somebody that might come and get a reading or go from there. And pendulums are great for yes and no questions. It's just that you have to trust. When working with a pendulum, there's two things. You have to be clear on what you're asking, what your intention is, and you have to trust the message that it's giving you. Because if you're doubting it, then it will really mess it up. And Tracy, how about yourself?
Do I use pendulums? Sometimes. But I have another tool that I use way more is what I call my angel divining rods, divining angel rods. If anybody has heard of like dowsing rods, looking for water, it's exactly the same concept. I use them they're a copper wire that's horizontal on one aspect, and then the second aspect is vertical, is where you hold it and it turns. And I use these rods as for many different things. I use them like a pendulum, and I have to ask them every time what is yes, and then I say thank you, and what is no, and then thank you when they show me. And my team has attitude, so they change my answers all the time, like what yes and no is. And like Rhonda says, you got to be clear on your questions. And I tell people, don't ask if it's going to rain today. Well, it's going to rain somewhere in the world. You need to be specific. If you're asking in your home, like around your, is it going to rain over my home? Is it going to rain on my land? You need to be specific and always acknowledge when they've given you an answer, like yes or no, or always say thank you. But my rods I use for way more, like find what's lost. For instance, if I don't know where my husband is, show me where my husband is, they'll point. Show me where my dogs are, they'll point. And again, I'm picking on my husband. Where's his wallet? Where's his keys? Where's his glasses? To show me where they are. And they'll point a certain direction, then I'll walk that way. And let's say you come up a barrier, well, then I go on the other side if I can, and then just continue on. And I ask, what are you going to do when I'm closer on whatever object I'm looking for? And they'll do something like make a cross, like cross each other. And I use them also to show me where spirit is if I'm doing a mediumship. Like I use these divining rods for a lot.
Yeah, and I would say like I use your divining rods as well. And majority of the time I just because of setting intention is I do use it for when I do mediumship, especially in person, because I can physically show them with the rods. It's like, "Oh, your grandmother's behind you," or your grandfather's to the left of you, so they'll point directly to where
Right? It
they're
works.
going. But see, that's the other thing too, where like I, and then it kind of goes back to setting intention is I use my pendulum for kind of the angel stuff or anything else. And my rods I will use majority of the time for spiritual mediumship. So they know setting intention, they know what their purpose is for.
Oh, and it's very important to shield yourself when you're using the rods, but also I get the other people, make sure there's a shield between them and the client and the rods, because it's all about energy and you can affect them.
Yeah.
So it's very important to shield yourselves with the rods for sure.
Yeah. So is there any other tools that you use in
I use copper. Like I'll use copper when I'm channeling or downloading messages for not I have copper around when I'm doing readings, but I like to use copper when I'm doing specific messages from the divine for sure.
right.
Or any like if I'm dealing with a fairy or whatever or the dragons, I like to have copper around because it just helps with connection.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So because the other thing that I was gonna like kind of bring up is when we use these tools, we clear our tools as well. So a lot
Absolutely.
of times, so I guess I kind of go back to well, how I clear my oracle deck. So it kind of depends on, so when it's a new deck, is like get Archangel Michael to clear them. I'll usually take a piece of selenite and I'll clear them that way. Then when I take them out of the deck is I'll knock on it 3 times so it clears out that energy. And then I'll run them across my heart chakra so I'm infusing them with my energy first. And then then throughout the readings, especially like if we're doing trade shows and stuff, I will always clear them out as soon as the reading's done. And then kind of on a monthly, or I try to do them monthly, is I'll clear them out and then run them through my heart chakra again.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
See, that's I used my rods, the rods for clearing big time. Like like my decks, but also house clearings because people like visuals.
Yeah.
So, like, yes, I use Archangel Michael to clear also, but I asked I use the rods because people see them spinning, and as the room is clearing, you can see the rods are slowing down from spinning, and then they stop. And I ask if they're clear, and they say yes or no.
Yes. And like I've used your rod sometimes to clear as well. And it like they spin like crazy.
Oh,
Like
yeah, when they're
sometimes like your arm feels like it's coming out of its socket.
and
Like,
people say you're spinning them, and I'm going no, because it's just because they're spinning so hard to clear that your hands are literally moving.
yeah. And then, yeah, so like another tool that I tend to use is like literally just a paper and a pen. Like I'll start, sometimes what will happen is I'll start getting messages while I'm like shuffling my cards or whatever. So sometimes I go like straight in. And what I find interesting is, okay, like if I pull out a card, it's because sometimes cards too, they may be writing on it, or it just might be one word. Like, so a card is guardian angel that I just pulled, and it's just like, okay, and I'll look or listen. It's like your guardian angels are around you, and then asking me to kind of, so your guardian angel is just for you and you alone. That this is your special, unique gift for yourself. And everybody has typically two to three, but you can collect them along the same lines. Now, where Tracy, she could draw Guardian Angel and get a different message, or it might be the same or similar.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Everybody has their own, like, I mean, when I'm literally, if I have questions and if I'm doing a blog or I'm doing a write up or something that I want, or when I was doing my classes, like, I'm on the computer and I'm literally typing. Like Rhonda likes to write, I like to type because I
Yeah,
it's just easier for me, and that's how what works for me. I mean, sometimes I write too, like I write ideas and stuff. I have journals. Like it's funny, I don't journal every day, but when I do things, it's kind of neat to go back onto your old journals and see how far you've come from how many years ago.
yeah. So, if somebody was starting new, Tracy, what tool would you kind of give them to start with?
What's the first tool I would give them?
Yeah.
Some crystals.
Crystals. Okay, interesting. Why?
Well, because I'd like to give them some selenite to keep themselves clear, and that way they can clean anything they buy new or however they get new products or whatever they use to clear them. I would give them. I would also offer them. I'm hearing both rose quartz and amethyst because that's love for self and help with Michael. And then I'm a petrified wood to keep yourself grounded.
Wow. Yeah, because
And
that's something we didn't really talk about. We both mentioned how we use crystals. We didn't actually why.
yes,
Well, no.
yeah, and a deck. I
So would
have
it be a deck with words or with a deck with just like one or two words or
no, it would have words. And actually, I have to give a plug to Cindy's inspirational deck because there's lots of writing on it, and it helps. It would be great for beginners.
Yeah.
I mean, there's other decks, yes, but that one has a lot. It has a archangel message, it has a crystal message, it has an action on it, and it has an affirmation on it. So
Yeah.
for beginners, that's great to have.
Yeah. And if you want to really get thrown in the deep end first, it's not necessarily a deck. Like I like not necessarily promoting a deck in a way, but I would take a deck that just has a theme. Like so like for example, the guardian angel or and then that's how I would channel. And I have put clients on the spot for those that are interested. I'm like, Kate, we're going to go in deep in first. So I believe I don't actually have the deck, but it kind of I believe it's just called a crystal deck, and it would be like topaz, and it's like, Kate,
Oh yeah, there's not lots on that one.
yeah, and it's like, Kate, what do you get from that? And so a lot of times they'll write it down. They'll tell me or write it down, and then we'll kind of go look. What does topaz mean? And majority of the time, they're close or very similar to close. But even if they're wrong, I want to use they're not wrong because any message that you get is accurate.
That's the truth. Like
You know,
there's, when I'll do a reading, like people will look at the cards and they'll go, "Well, I know what that means," or "I know what this means," and I'll say, "So what does it mean to you?" And they'll tell me what they believe it is, and then I'll do my reading, and it's totally different. So it's still both of them resonated with the person, with the client, so they're both important.
yeah. And that's what I mean. Like Tracy and I can literally draw the same card and get different messages from it. And
Totally.
that's okay. And we're both correct with what we're downloading. And that's where that trust begins.
Yes. So what would be in your kit for somebody?
So to start, definitely, I truthfully to start, I would again kind of go with the crystals, but I would also do a deck and I would almost be opposite of you. Like Cindy's, for a beginner, Cindy's is great, but I, I, I don't know if this is necessarily kind of the teacher in me, but I like throwing people in the deep end. First, just to learn to trust themselves. I like the ones where there's just basically one or two words, like, and then get them to channel that message so then they can trust.
Oh, you're throwing them in.
Oh, yeah. And that's actually one of the exercises that I do teach when we do kind of into the channel writing. And so it's like connecting with your angels. It's like, okay, so here's your guardian angel message. Ask Archangel Jophiel to come in. Okay, what do you want me to know about my guardian angel from Archangel Jophiel's perspective? Okay, I always start with self. I should back that up. I always start with self. What do you think the guardian angel message is? What does that mean to you? And then I'll like say, okay, call in Archangel Jophiel. What does she say about that guardian angel? Then I'll call in Archangel Michael. Okay, what is his message? So I usually work in fours, and then I'll ask, Archangel Raguel. And then so you get to kind of see where your themes are, where they're very similar and where they change. And that's how I tend to like I said, I like throwing people because I find sometimes words they get a little overwhelmed and not trusting their thoughts.
Yeah, well, I'm like I very rarely read off the deck, like the
Yeah.
cards. Like personally, I think that to me is not what I do.
Yeah.
Like I trust the messages I get. The wording is there just for confirmation for the people, like because sometimes they need some sort of visual, but I get very I'm funny with my team. If they say I got to read the card, I argue.
Back up against the wall.
Yeah, like I do. I get angry. I say, and people say, "What's going on?" And I'll say, "Well, they want me to read the card." And I'll go, "Okay, I guess I'm reading the card." And then you
Yeah.
know what? It resonates with them. So I
Yeah.
trust. I just don't like doing that
Yeah.
because I've
Well, yeah. No, sorry, I didn't mean to.
no, it's fine.
I'm very similar to that. Actually, I got called out on a reading one time. Well, actually, I was interviewed on a different podcast, and but it was a client of mine, and she's like, "You use cards, but you don't actually really use the cards."
Right?
And she's like, "Why is that?" And I said honestly, because I trust the divine, the messages that they're giving me. I said a lot of times the cards for my clients because they want to see a visual of kind of what's happening.
Totally.
And and also I said too, sometimes is I'll use the cards as well is sometimes like typically a session is an hour, half hour, an hour, but sometimes there's just so much that you can't fit in a one session. So then I'll use so the cards will usually go in, okay, this is what's being highlighted, and this is what needs to be important.
Yeah, it's we just trust whatever we get. So, I mean, a tool, one of the tools is our trust
Yeah,
of trusting and have faith that we're getting the messages from the divine
yeah,
for the client.
yeah. And that's where kind of like if you go back to our signs and symbols episode, where you get confirmation through your signs and symbols. So if you're really open, you'll kind of, you know, things will pop in. And that's where I said, like, sometimes a butterfly is just a butterfly. But other times, like, if it's grabbing your attention or it's something where you're like actually thinking, it's like, oh, like, then that's your team.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And like another example for this, because a lot of people will say, well, there's feathers all the time because there's birds everywhere. They're leaving feathers. I said, yeah, but that might be true, but a lot of times you won't notice a feather unless it's drawing it into your attention.
Well, my house is, I've got tons of feathers. I've got feather pillows because my in-laws had ducks and so like there's feathers, all my pillows on the beds are feather pillows. So of course I'm gonna have feathers all over the place. But it's the one time that all of a sudden I notice it. Like, yes, I sweep them up and I don't even pay attention. Like, it's not a big deal. But all of a sudden, well, that's interesting. Like, why is that one there? Or look at even it's just as simple as the color. Like, well, that's a different one. So there's a reason it's been brought to my attention.
Yeah. And then that's just like, and that's kind of, it's adding on to your toolbox is recognizing the signs and symbols that your team is giving you. And a lot of times they're for confirmation or for you to pay attention or like whatever it is you need. And then as the more you practice and kind of do it, again, your tool, just like with everything else, your toolbox expands.
It grows. Sure does. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, are you kidding? I have 30 decks. what do I need 30 decks or a couple hundred pieces of crystals around my home, or
Mm-hmm.
it all just grows.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you use or that you don't use
Well,
or anything that you started using and no longer use?
well, that's an interesting concept. But, you know, I mean, I don't use the pendulum. I used to use it, but now that I have the divining angel rods that my husband makes for me and I sell, it shows, yeah, like, but I use, no, I might not use it all the time, and it might be months or months that I use something, and then I don't use it again for months and months.
Yeah.
It's a hit and miss. I'm looking around my office to see
Yeah.
to see what I have, but no, it's funny how you just grow. I've got a salt lamp, I've got a selenite lamp, I've got a like I have, you just have so many crystals. Like I have, if you could only see my massive jade dragon that I have. Like I have all these, yes, they're ornaments, but I have them here because they mean something to me. It's my dragon.
Yeah. No, I agree. And like I know, like I don't always keep all my decks. It's or and kind of crystals to that. Like if it's kind of served its purpose and going, I'm not really getting anything out of this anymore, and I'll ask it, do I need to gift it? Do I need to give it away? Do I like and they'll be like, yeah. So then if it's yes, I'm like, okay, I need depending on the question, it's like, okay, I'll hang on to it. If not, I'll put it out there
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it
I hear
served
you.
its purpose, right?
Mm-hmm. That's me too. I have changed. I've, decks that I used to use I don't use anymore, and they're gone now
Yeah,
for whatever reason.
yeah,
So yeah, it's just whatever you feel comfortable with, just like what we use for our toolbox.
yeah, exactly. Well, take care. Did you want to pull a card?
Oh, well, I sure can. And you know what? That's kind of interesting. My dragons are stepping through.
Oh,
So let's see what they have to say.
and this is for the collective. So
Yes,
if
it's
you're
for
listening,
everybody. Yep.
and in this moment of time,
You can't make this up, people. And I wish you could see how the card flies out so you know that it's really the card. This is the air and fire dragon, and I'm reading it. So just so you know, expands your creative energies. So it's telling you what I'm getting out of this card. It says, go with your passion, people. Like, come on, you need to get yourself excited about something. They're saying get your enthusiasm, excitement to get going, because they would like you to get going. You're in a little bit stagnant spot, and they're saying, oh, the dragon is showing me lighting a fire under your butt. Okay, so he's literally breathing fire under your butt. So anyways, they're saying get out there, get going, and let people know what your passion is. Stop hiding.
oh,
Okay? All right.
all right. Take care, everybody.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to Divine Dialogues, Intuitives Unveiled. If you would like to work with Tracey and Rhonda, our information is posted in the show notes.
Now, our new episodes are going to fall on Tuesdays. So if you're interested in receiving a free meditation on connecting to your guardian angels, click that link below to subscribe to the Angel Empowerment Wellness Center newsletter. Thanks for joining us.
Take care, everybody.